state of the linebackers. Quay Walker, who you mentioned last segment, Jason, entering the final year of his rookie contract, did not get the fifth-year option picked up. So a crucial season for him. It is year 2 for Edgerrin Cooper, who I think many of us view as potentially an up-and-coming superstar for this Packers defense. Isaiah McDuffie's back for the linebackers. He will fill in as a depth piece for them, a nice depth piece for them. But it's really about those first two guys, Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker. Pretty good duo between Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper, I'd say.
I mean, one of them's good. One of them's good. Quay Walker is somebody, and I know Jen has fallen in love with the tools, right? He's big, he's physical, he's fast. And I understand if you're a Packers fan that feels that same way as Jen does on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy from 7 to 9, Monday through Friday. But the production has not matched up to what, and again, he's got a lot of that potential. He flashes it at times, but also there's so many times where he just guesses and guesses wrong, running up to fill a hole, and next thing you know, the running back's, oh, there he goes.
There goes Saquon again.
Yeah, and for me, for Quay Walker, the actions are speaking louder than the words for the Green Bay Packers. Because, yes, they did not pick up the fifth-year option. But Goody was also saying, oh, man, but we will, he factors into our future plans. We want to sign him to an extension. All right? When's that extension coming? Mm-hmm. And there hasn't really been much talk of it since Goody brought that up. So much like some of these other guys that are potentially waiting for extensions, I have to believe that it's not happening. I don't know if the price was too much and Quay was asking for too much, but obviously based on their actions, the Packers aren't, as of right now, looking at Quay Walker as a future piece of this defense.
You seem frustrated with the financial department of the Green Bay Packers.
No, I'm not. No, when it comes to Quay Walker, I mean,
Gabe Ball.
I mean, again, with Goody, you just have to kind of parse through what he says. And, oh, hey, well, if Aaron Jones, no doubt he's going to be around. Well, I guess not. So you have to parse through what he says. So, look, if they've decided that they don't want to sign Quay Walker, I'm in agreement with that. I haven't seen enough out of him for 3 years for them to pick up. Again, the fifth-year option just realistically wasn't an option because of the way that the NFL does that if you're unaware. So somebody like T.J. Watt, who is a pass rusher, but because the Pittsburgh Steelers run a 3-4, he's considered a linebacker. Mm-hmm. So those are the salaries. Some outside pass rushers that are getting buku dollars get factored into what that fifth-year option number is ultimately going to be. So you're not going to pay a middle linebacker or a off-ball linebacker the fifth-year option money. It just doesn't make sense. So I understand why they didn't do that. But also, they haven't seemed to be in a rush to sign him to any other sort of long-term extension. So I don't know if they need to see more, which, again, I would agree with when it comes to Quay Walker. I just wish Goody wouldn't say, oh, yeah, this guy, definitely factoring into our future when they haven't made a move to try to lock him up long-term.
Yeah, believe what they do.
Yes.
Don't believe what they say.
Correct.
I think is a good way to view the Goody era. And so, look, a couple things, because I was catching up on the live chat on our ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel. First of all, I don't think anybody on this panel, Jim, is underestimating what the defense did last year. I thought the defense last year was magnificent. What I respect about what Hafley did was he managed for it to be a top 10 defense in both, I think, 5th in yards, 6th in scoring, or vice versa, without a consistent front four pass rush. I think what we're saying is that group needs to be better. I think if we look at the linebackers, I think we all see through the same lens that Edgerrin Cooper has star potential. Mm-hmm. Guy was a defensive player of the week. He does so many things twice, not rookie, not defensive rookie of the week. Player of the week. You saw him run stride for stride with Christian Kirk in that game. That dude's a fast wide receiver.
Who got paid a lot of money.
Yeah, break up the pass and then break his collarbone by landing on him, right? We saw the sacks, the pressure he can create, the turnovers he creates. He has potential to be really good. Now, again, I am a Quay Walker stan because what I like about him and what I also think has held him back is that he is as hard on himself as any player. He had a good game last season, and we had to have the PR staff go get him out of the parking lot because he is so hard on himself. And again, I don't want to be in parent mode, even though I'm old enough to be most of these guys' dads. Dude, it's hard to be a really good NFL player. Celebrate the wins. It's okay to feel good about yourself. And he and I talked one-on-one for a really long time. and I am in no way saying that I was imparting knowledge, but I would say that it gave him an opportunity to talk about things that he had hinted at in group settings. But he's just so demanding of himself, and I think it's to his detriment. And what was the disappointment of last season for me defensively was going into the Seattle game. He was playing the best football we had seen him play. He wasn't running into the wrong gap. He wasn't running like around a gap to try and tackle the guy from behind.
Yep.
Right? He wasn't thinking. He looked like he knew what he was doing in this scheme. Then he hurts his ankle. He misses time. Isn't a factor in the playoff game because he misses the rest of the regular season. Comes back for the playoff game. If that glimpse that we got before the Seattle game is who he's truly capable of being, he's going to be really good this season, and Jen's going to feel really good about that, and then he's going to go play for somebody else. Mm-hmm. I think is what the reality is.
Oh, yeah.
Until Goody midway through the season says, oh, no, I meant what I said, and here's a 4-year extension for him, I don't believe that. Now, I do think there's an intriguing wild card here.
Okay.
And that is Isaiah Simmons.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
again, another thing that I'm a sucker for is a good reclamation project.
Oh.
And let's be honest, Zach Bond was a huge difference maker for the Philadelphia Eagles last season.
Sure was.
And he wasn't supposed to be.
Correct.
And Devondre Campbell, I forgot his name because he walked out on me and the team, it was a first-team All-Pro that they got in June for $2 million. Now, again, I don't know what Isaiah's role is going to be. They have 2 Isaiahs, first of all, which is a lot of Isaiahs. They need like a Jacob and a Lamentations. But that's a Christianity joke. But I really want to see what Simmons can do.
That's a Christian.
Because his explanation to us, and I have no reason not to believe him, is that with the Giants and with the Cardinals previously, they loved his versatility so much that they didn't put him in any one spot. So he's playing safety, he's playing nickel, he's playing linebacker, and this guy won the Butkus Award.
Yep.
This guy was the 8th overall pick. So there's talent there. So if they can unlock that also allows them to move on from Quay Walker if he doesn't play at the level that you're hoping.
Well, and look, I think the fact that we're being hard on, at least for me, being hard on Quay Walker and being hard on the defensive line, just again tells you how good Jeff Hafley is, because they were able to find ways to generate pressure with just 4. It just wasn't the front 4. They would do some different zone blitzes. Obviously, you're kind of putting yourself in some advantageous situations then as well. Like you can't. But as good as Jeff Hafley is, as much as I love him, I don't think you can be good consistently on defense just through schematics alone.
You're right.
You need to have players that are going to make his job that much easier. I think we know Jeff Hafley's a good coach, but now he needs the players to be able to help him out so they can run more of the things that he would actually like to run instead of him becoming a mad genius and coming up with these different fire blitzes and zone blitzes.
To your point on this, the best case scenario is the Packers are looking for a new defensive coordinator next year, or have a new defensive coordinator when we do this show next year. Because
I
Jeff
get my
Hafley,
sweatshirt first.
Yeah. That is
Jeff Hafley becomes a head coach, and I think it's certainly possible.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think that's the best case scenario.
Well,
No, the best case scenario is he does a Ben Johnson.
That's true.
And he earns the opportunity to be a head coach.
And he passes
on it for another year. And
That
then
is
they go
the
win the
best case
Super Bowl, and then he gets a different job.
well,
There
they
we
win the
go.
Super Bowl
But-
again, you mean? Yes, but yes.
Only one. Well, 2 of us. Only one of us is not a fan on the panel. Look, here's the thing. To your point, and it's again, I can't believe how good of a show you've had, and I know how good you are at this job. But like to your point, Jeff Hafley got them to be who they were last season through a lot of schematics that were not the plan going in. You hear him and LaFleur and their players on defense talk about this a ton, that they did a bunch of stuff that did not in any way match what their plan was coming in when he got the job. That, to me, is the mark of a really good football coach.
Yep.
So now we've established that. The next question becomes, are those B players that are supposed to be A players going to become A players? Because if they do, now you're not talking about 5th and 6th in total defense and scoring defense. Now you're talking about 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. And now you're talking about giving your quarterback a little more leeway to make mistakes, right? I mean, remember, Favre used to love to talk about how Leroy Butler and Santana Dotson and Reggie White would, after he throw an interception, hey, don't worry about it, bud, we'll get it back for you. And then they go out there and get a takeaway, and he'd be in business, then he'd score a touchdown. Like, they didn't have that during the Joe Barry Carroll era.
Did they have any turnovers during that era?
I believe the answer is no.
It didn't feel like it.
Well, not zero, but it may have felt that.
Okay, all right.
It oftentimes did.
There's one that doesn't really come to my mind, is all I'm saying.
It's actually a really good.
Quay Walker.
Jair Alexander in the
Bears.
playoff game in Dallas.
Yes.
He had a pick.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Quay Walker had a pick 6 against the Bears. Jordan Love's first game as the starter,
There you
first
go,
real game
no
as the starter. Yeah.
Yeah, so no.
That might be it.
What do you got against Joe Barry?
He's not
A
very
lot.
good. Not very
I have
good
a
at
lot
his job.
against Joe Barry.
Interesting hire.
The Isaiah Simmons piece, I'm still hung up on a little bit because he is a guy that fascinates me, and I hope you're right. I hope the change of scenery brings good things for him. But they need, as we've talked about, they need athletic stars on their defense.
Well,
and I don't think he is one.
You
but-
get drafted in the top 10 as a defensive player if you hit certain athletic measurements.
Correct.
And obviously he hit those. So it's can you mold that into something? And again, we're just singing the praises of Jeff Hafley. So hopefully if there's a coach that can do it, you're hoping that he can deliver him in a consistent spot and go, hey, I know you've been used all over the place. Maybe we utilize some of that. But we also think that if you're going to benefit from being in one spot, you get to learn that spot and be comfortable in it.
Look, Quay Walker didn't practice all offseason. I saw him scooter by on one of those one-legged scooters, and I think
Sweet.
I didn't get to talk to him beyond him riding on a stationary bike next to me at practice. He said hello, so I don't have a lot of insight from him. But during the entire offseason, it was Isaiah Simmons getting a lot of the work when they go two linebackers next to Edger and Cooper. So he got indoctrinated into the defense quickly. That's where they want to play him. That gives him some opportunity to maybe not be as versatile and maybe be more productive.
Is Quay still going to be the green dot, do you think?
That's a great question. Again, I would look at Quay Walker and say he is much better when he doesn't have to think as much and he can just react. And I think we've seen that growth. The issue is, I would say probably Isaiah McDuffie would be, who played for Hafley in college,
Right.
would be the guy I would love to have the green dot. But you take him out when you don't go when you go sub package.
Yeah, right.
So that's not really realistic.
Yeah, and would you want to give it to
And I don't want to burden Edger and Cooper.
Exactly. Like Cooper seems like he's progressing. Is that too much too fast?
I'll tell you who had it when he was in New York, and I have no doubt could do it even from the back end. It's Xavier McKinney.